If you're stuck in life and you're stuck with low energy, procrastination, you're just not getting ahead and you're constantly in this never-ending loop, well, in this video, I'm going to share with you why you're probably doing one out of two things consistently, which has got you in a failure loop. I guarantee 99% of you that are not getting ahead are doing one thing, but not the second. So in this video, I'm going to give you a 3-step process on how to increase your energy, your motivation, how to get unstuck from procrastination, and how to get more done in the next 3 months than somebody would in the next 12 months or the next few years, and doing it in a way that you're enjoying. So let's go through this video and I'll show you the reasons why you're stuck in what I call a failure loop, and it's got to do with psychology and biology as well, and I'm going to share with you how to change that. See, the problem is goal setting is great, but it's also the reason most people fail because there is a specific major missing piece, and we're going to go through what that is. Also, you may be letting your feelings getting in the way. A lot of people kind of go in this whole idea of, I'll do whatever I feel like. Do I feel like doing this? Do I feel like doing that? And that's an absolute killer because it means you're relying on motivation to get something done, and that's a strategy that kills dreams. We're going to talk about how to get around that. Mike Tyson actually said it very well when he said you have to train your mind to be greater than your feelings. And I'm going to give you some tips and hacks on how to get through that in a really productive way. There's also what's called the psychology of change, which we're going to address first of all in the next slide. And there are really 5 changes, or 5 stages, I should say, of change. And again, I'll guarantee you're stuck in the first 3 and you're not likely doing the second. So part of this video training here is the most important thing that I can give you is to be able to have awareness as to what's actually happening in your life. Because I went through a period for a long time where I was constantly tired. I was exercising, I thought I was eating pretty well, but I was just constantly having this energy slumps and I just couldn't get off the couch and I would just get stuck in the Netflix land way too long. So we're going to talk about flow state issues, we're going to talk about peak performance and what to do about that from a biological point of view. We're going to talk about low motivation, and we're also going to talk about procrastination. Now here's the thing about procrastination. You are not lazy. You are not lazy. I used to think I was lazy for a long time and was beating myself up. The reality of procrastination is really just a form of stress relief. It's when we're feeling overwhelmed, we don't know where to start. It seems painful to do something, especially when we don't know what to do. And so we'll go through all of that as well. But the first thing I want to kind of go through is the 5 stages of change and why you may be stuck. See, here is the emotional cycle of change. This is why most people fail. Up here, you've got stage 1, uninformed optimism. Now, what that means is you come across a new opportunity, you're seeing something that's really got you interested, and you're thinking to yourself, this sounds great. This could be the answer for me to finally get ahead in life or do something. It's also what's referred to as the shiny object syndrome. Something new, exciting. And at this point, we are uninformed about what's involved, and so we're highly optimistic. Then we go into the opportunity, which takes us to step 2, which is informed pessimism. What usually happens at this stage is that we have a go at it, we're still excited, but the excitement starts to slow down. We start to realize there's more to it. It's harder than we thought, there's more involved. And then finally we get to stage 3, which is called the valley of despair. That's when we start to have these intrusive thoughts like, this is not going to work for me, there's more involved, this is maybe the wrong thing, maybe I made a mistake. And eventually we start to see a new opportunity come up and we go, maybe that's a better way. And so what we do is we go back to stage 1, uninformed optimism with something new. And we repeat these stages over and over. It's a very, very well-worn path for most people that keep getting stuck in those 3 stages. Where in reality, when you're in that valley of despair, you almost have to go against your own brain, your own intrusive thoughts, your own way, other people telling you not to stay there, where we should be staying there. If you're on the right path and you've chosen the right vehicle and you know it is, intellectually, you need to get past the emotions and just stay there and work through it. Because what happens after a while, you start to enter stage 4, informed optimism. Think of it like when you first learn how to drive a car. At first, you're very excited about learning how to drive a car. And, maybe if you learn how to drive a manual, you first got in and then suddenly you had to do all these things. Check the mirrors, check over your shoulder, press the clutch in, put it in first gear, and your brain is so overwhelmed, and you're stalling the car, and you just have this point where you're almost having an argument with your mum or your dad who's teaching you, or a driving instructor. You're getting frustrated, and it's very easy to give up at that point. But after a while, your brain starts to adjust, and it becomes a bit easier. You start to build those neural pathways. And this is when you start to become from a competence level into more of from a conscious competence to an unconscious competence. Unconscious competence is when you start to drive a car and you know it so well now that you could be thinking about shopping, grocery shopping, or talking to your friend in the car, and you're just doing all the actions that become very, automatic. So a lot of people don't go past this valley of despair. Really important to kind of understand that part. Now, the other part is here, most people think about creating a goal. Most people choose a goal of what they want to achieve. Let's say it's weight loss. I want to lose 10 pounds in 10 weeks, let's say, and they choose that goal. 99% people will choose that goal, right? When I say not that goal, but a goal. What they don't think about is having action-based results goal. This is what most people don't do and don't follow. So your goal-based result is really just your North Star. And here's the thing, right? To get away from procrastination or motivation, you don't want to set a goal, whether it's a weight loss goal or a revenue goal for your business. You don't want to set it so far away that it's so big that your brain starts to kind of just think, I'm never going to get there, and you just lose motivation. It's too big, it's too far away. The goal's 10 years away, 5 years away. I'll get to it one day. This is where Parkinson's law kicks in, right? Parkinson's law is about our work expands to the time that's allocated. We see that very often with uni students, right? They have an assignment due in 6 weeks. So when do some of them do that assignment? The last day, right? They could have done it the first day, but I'll do it. I've got 6 weeks. So again, you have to think about the theory of constraint, which is why we like to operate within a 90-day window, a 3 months window, opposed to a year. Because if you tell yourself you've got a goal for a year, it's very easy just to next week, I'll start next week, because it's so far away. A 3 months goal feels a bit closer and there's a bit more pressure, and you need a bit of internal pressure to get moving. So going back to your North Star, you need a goal that is exciting. It is just out of reach, but it also feels for your brain and yourself believable that you're going to get there, right? And it doesn't have to be the ultimate goal. You could have your ultimate goal up here, but set your first goal just above where you are, and then you keep resetting every 3 months or every so on. Now, once you've got your North Star, you need to have, this is where most people fail, you need to have an action-based results, right, goal. That's what wins the game. Now, action-based results is what you need to do to get to your North Star. So what you actually need to do is look at where you want to be. And let's say that is, just use the weight loss example, lose 10 pounds in 10 weeks. You then work backwards and go, what are the actions that I need to take, right? Your action goals. Could be doing X amount of push-ups a day, walking 10,000 steps a day, staying under 2,000 calories in my eating. And you start to measure that. And so what you do then, rather than looking at your goal all the time, you start to look down at your daily actions, right? It's really important. You have to have a timeline. You have to reverse engineer your goal. You need clarity as to what does it take if I do these actions every day or week, will I get to my goal? So you need to make sure that you measure your goal, right? Your actions, and you need to make an analysis every week. Am I on or off course, right? If you're on course, great, keep going. You just get those wins every day, and that's exciting to see that, opposed to just focusing too far in the future, right? There's no point meditating every day on your goal or using the secret, and all that's important for your brain to feel and believe. It's very much a part of it, but what you also have to do is violently attack with action to do that. And so what we want to do is have a game plan, right? As I said, create a goal result vision board, put all that there, dream it, feel it. But also, here's the other thing. A lot of people dream and feel what it looks and feels like in the future to have your goal, which I think is very important. You should also, at night, visualize and feel your next day. What are the actions you're going to, what is it like? Just make it feel like you're taking that. Because then by the time the next day comes, you're a bit more in that moment because you already experienced it. Your brain's already calibrated to the actions that you're taking. So write out your daily goals, have a timeline, 3 months, right? It's really good. I've got here, the car headlight is the focus. I was once told by a business coach, if you're driving from one place to another place at nighttime, and let's say it takes you 10 hours to get to where you want to go at night driving, you only need to see as far as your headlight. You don't need to see the whole journey. Like you've got a map of where you're going, but you only need to see as far as where the headlights are when you're driving. Think of that as your 3 months. You just need that part now. You work in 3 months increments. It's more manageable and less overwhelming for your brain to be procrastinating. If you're thinking of this big goal, you don't know where to start, you don't know what to do, you need to chunk it down into bite-sized chunks, right? You reverse engineer your goals into action-based goals. What are you going to do every day or every week? And just focus on that. Specificity is really the key here. The other thing is, this is a good way to hack your brain, right? So you want to be able to hack your brain with the 5-minute rule. Even if you allocated 2 hours to work on something for an hour, maybe first in the morning when you're feeling most energy, everyone's a little bit different from me. I like to do this in the morning. I'm shooting this video right now in the morning, right? Because for me, that's when I'm just most energetic, I'm most switched on, and I'm going to get it done. I haven't eaten anything yet. I'm feeling good, ready to go. So the 5-minute rule is simply like, I've got a timer, which I've got here. You can just use something like this and just set the timer. And what I mean by that is this. Rather than telling yourself, if you're struggling to get off the couch, is to, oh, this is going to take me an hour, I'll start later. Just tell yourself, I'm just going to do 5 minutes. I'm just going to do 5 minutes and that's it. You start the timer and you just work for 5 minutes. That might be just writing a few things down. Sometimes that's enough to get over that initial hump of resistance. And before you know it, 5 minutes turns into 10 minutes and suddenly you're in flow state. And if not, and if you only do 5 minutes, don't beat yourself up. Do 5 minutes. If you need to, go back on the lounge. Seriously. Reward yourself that you've done it and then do that over and over. Build small, right? It's like if your goal is to do 10,000 steps. It's very overwhelming to think, I'm going to go out there and suddenly walk 10 or 12,000 steps. Walk 500 steps. Just get going. Give yourself little wins and celebrate them. Before you know it, that's how you build. Most people are all or nothing. And the problem with that is they end up being nothing, right? Because all is so far and overwhelming. So set yourself little goals. The same way we look at a 12-month plan within 3 months, look at some of your action-based goals. Like I want to spend an hour working on XYZ. I'm just going to spend 5 minutes. Do that. Brain FM. Go onto YouTube and YouTube Brain FM. Put that kind of music on. It really works well in just staying in flow state. Block your calendar, right? Just kind of make sure that, what gets scheduled gets done. Prepare a plan for the week. As you work into specificity about the clarity of what you need to do to achieve your goal, block it in your calendar and then forget about it. And you just apply. And even if you just start with 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there, you will see the momentum will stack, right? Also, you want to access your flow state. When is the best for you? When do you feel, some people, I have some friends that work best at 10 o'clock at night and they work till 3 in the morning. I have one particular friend, she works at that time. It's when she is in flow state. What's your flow state? A lot of people are in the morning. I'm in the morning. I kind of in the afternoon want to back off a bit, but then early in the morning, I'm ready to go. I've had a good walk. I'm good to go. I don't need much. Also make sure you turn everything off. Mobile phone, notifications, no distractions. Give yourself that peace. Give yourself that gift of time for you. So here is the 3 steps to success, just as a recap. Write down your results-based goal, your North Star, right? As we said, a little bit out from where you're currently at, but big enough that it's exciting, but not so big that it feels unachievable. Number 2, you want to create an action-based goals. What are now the steps involved to get to that goal? Write it down, have a plan, reverse engineer, so you make sure that if you take these steps, you will get to your goal. Clarity is key. And if you're not 100% sure, be 80% sure. Who cares? 80% is better than 0. 50% better than 0. Working 5 minutes is better than 0. 5 minutes stacks very quickly. Even if you just Monday to Friday do 5 minutes a day, you've done 25 minutes. Even in a month, you've done an hour. That's better than nothing. But I promise you, if you do 5 minutes a day, you'll soon do 10, 15, an hour. You'll just get into the flow of it. So schedule it weekly, daily, and execute it violently, step number 3, right? So really use your calendar. Block it out. Have a time so that way you're not kind of working on your feelings, right? Very hard to kind of overcome that, right? Feelings and motivation is fleeting. If you only did things when you felt like them, that's a dangerous combination, right? If you look at most Olympians, they do things they don't want to do, right? Some days suck. Some days you have to go for that run or that walk you don't really want to, but you do it. But what I can also tell you is feelings change. How many times have you been invited to a party by some friend or to go to a social event and you might think back and go, I don't want to go. But your friend maybe pushed you and you end up going to this event. And you had a great time. The next day you reflect and go, gosh, I had a great time. See, feelings change. It's like that moment in the morning when you don't want to get out of bed because your feelings are, I want to stay in bed. And then sometimes you do that and then later on you feel worse for it. But sometimes if you overcome those 5 seconds and just get up and have a shower and get going, your feelings are different. How many times have you gone to the gym and didn't really want to go, but once you're in the gym, have workout, you walk out afterwards and you feel amazing. So feelings constantly change and feelings trick you. So sometimes you just have to understand that feelings are just a wave of emotions. They're not permanent. And so sometimes when we just go on feelings, it's not a really good thing. I'll give you some extra tips in a moment on how to overcome this. So step number 3, as I said, make sure that you schedule what needs to be done. All right, some extra tips about energy and other things that I've discovered in my own life that's helped me a lot. Energy, right? You got to manage it, and you can manage energy very well through food. You're either eating for flow or comfort. This is what works for me. I'm going to share what works for me and what I've found works for a lot of other people as well. I have almost no carbohydrates during the day. I also fast. I find if you look at the evolution of humans, right, hunter and gatherer days, there's something about food wasn't readily available. We had to go out there and hunt and gather. So our body and our brain, when we don't have food, actually makes us sharper because our survival mechanism wants to make sure that we can find food. So we're more alert, we know where to go, so we had to find food. All our senses are heightened. Once we find food and eat, we're like that lion. We're now satisfied, we want to rest, we want to sleep. The problem in modern society today is food's readily available at the fridge. So when we go and eat at 10 a.m. or 9 a.m. already, or at lunchtime, we go into food coma. Energy just dips. We just want to rest. So what I make sure of is that I really just kind of, for me, what works perfectly is I have a coffee in the morning. I have 2 coffees, about 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock. And I have my first meal at lunchtime. And I might just have some eggs. Sometimes I even just have a piece of steak. I just have some protein and nothing else, or maybe some Brazil nuts or something like that. And then I eat again at 3 in the afternoon. That could be fish or something like that. And then more at 5:30 or so, I'll actually have more a protein source like meat or fish or eggs again. And I'll also have some carbohydrates like sweet potato, pumpkin, broccoli, and things like that. But I can tell you the key I've found in terms of maintaining flow state and energy is I've finally discovered is managing food. It's not having carbohydrates. It's or very limited. I find that I'm much sharper throughout the whole day. The other thing I would say is this. Lots of water. I try and drink at least 3 liters a day. So I'm really big on drinking lots of water. Coffee, everyone's already, or most people, familiar with Huberman Lab. He talks about not having coffee first thing in the morning because of cortisol levels. So I try and have it later in the day once I'm awake and I've gone for a walk to give me that bit of a kick. Sleep, I really prioritize sleep. I'm someone that gets up at 5:50 a.m. I'll make sure I'm asleep by 9:30. So that's just a routine that I've gotten into. It works for me. It might be something a little bit different for you. I'll plan my morning the day before and already number it out. Now, contrary to what a lot of people do is I'm all about momentum. So I actually am counterintuitive. Rather, some people say start with your biggest task, your most hardest one, and get it out the way. That doesn't work for me. That actually, for me, brings up procrastination. For me, then I don't do it because I'm like, oh, that's such a big job to do. I like to start with the easiest and fastest task to complete. Something simple that just takes me a minute or two. Because for me, it gives me a win and momentum. So I actually stack the order in easiest to hardest. Because by the time I get to the hardest one, that could be at the end or halfway through, I've got momentum and I'm feeling great. So I like to sit down in the morning in front of the computer and start with the easiest task towards my goal. Takes a couple of minutes, bang, done. Feeling great. Next one, bang, done. Next one, bang, done. Then I might just have a quick coffee break and I'm like, I'm winning already. It gives you so much momentum. The other thing is I work in 20-minute sprints. So I like to work just 20 minutes really quick and then I need to get off this chair, just get up, walk around, have some water, feel great, keeps my energy going as well. If you're sitting too long, your body is not meant for that. It is really, really hard. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you got some really good value from this and some tips about how you can make some adjustments about how to set a goal, how to set results-based action goals, how to get some clarity around that, how to schedule that in your calendar, and I hope this extra tips about managing your energy and everything else is really helpful. I'll see you inside the next video.